All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Lily Mae Francis Foundation's Saturday session. Today we're going to be talking about social media and our mental health. So, what is social media? So, it's been around for quite a while now, so everyone's familiar with it. Even if you're not a person that uses it frequently, you understand what it means. But basically, we're talking about computer-based technology, so you can access it on your phone, your computer, your iPad. That facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through virtual networks and communities. It's primarily used to interact, share, stay in touch, be entertained, and or promote content with your friends, family, peers, potential customers, because a lot of businesses use social media, or others with shared interest. And if we're talking about as far as businesses, they also use social media for something that we call crowd sourcing, where they're using that social media reports to gather information to target audiences and product improvement and product placement. So on the average, everyone's going to be different, but on the average, we use social media for about 2+ hours a day. And three of the biggest social media platforms, Facebook has about 3 billion users, which is about 37% of the world's population. So if you think about that, almost 40% of the world uses Facebook. Instagram um, is 2 billion users, and TikTok is 1.4 billion. So there's a lot of questions that have been going around for the last couple of years of whether social media is safe, right? Is it something that's good for us? Is it something that's good for our children? So here's a couple of statistics that are related to social media from 2023 and 2024. So 37%, almost 40% of people report experiencing what they call FOMO, fear of missing out, in relationship to Facebook. So they feel like if I don't log on, if I don't engage, I'm, on the outside. I'm not included in what's happening or what's going on in the world around me. 63% of parents believe that social media is harmful to their children's mental health. 32% of teenagers report being cyberbullied. So, being bullied or threatened on social media is a big thing. 40 to 59% of the people on social media report feeling anxious or depressed after they use it. So the range that you're seeing, the 40 to 59, typically children or young children are going to report around the 40%, and adults are closer to the 59-60%. And that could be because either the kids may not recognize that what they're feeling after they use social media is anxiety or depression, or they might be in denial. So that might be why the number is lower, when reported from children. But adults seem to have a better understanding of, hey, that doesn't feel too good with prolonged use. Okay, so if we're talking about social media and our mental health, research has shown that social media use is associated with increased feelings of loneliness and decreased life satisfaction. So that's what we just finished talking about. That 60% of people who say, "Hey, that didn't feel good when I log once I log in." Um, this is what research is showing. I have a feeling that the research is going to continue to come out, and as the research continues to come out, the numbers are going to rise. It's kind of like how we learned or our parents learned throughout the years how bad cigarettes were for us, and in the beginning it was like it was no problem. I think we're going to see the same trend with social media as we go along. We're going to see that it's more and more detrimental, primarily because of the way it's used, and the frequency and that it's used. So another problem that social media plays with our mental health is self-consciousness and poor body image. Social media often focuses on physical appearance, which can create false illusions and unrealistic standards. And so when we're trying to compare ourselves to the people that we see who most likely are using filters, or or Photoshop, that can lead to lowered self-esteem and poor body image. Social media can also lead to pressure and feelings of inadequacy. Because of the constant stream of updates, notifications, and content, it can create a sense of pressure and anxiety and make us feel inadequate. Users may compare their lives to the snapshots that they're seeing of others, feeling which leads them to feel inferior or left out. So this is where you might see a lot of the anxiety related to social media. Is social media an addictive? That's addictive. That's the $1 million question. That's what we're doing all the research for, to find out, is this something that is moving in the trend of any other addiction, things that we can't seem to break our use of, things that might impact us socially, mentally, financially. Those are some of the criteria that help us determine what is addictive. And it's shaping up that social media definitely is falling into that category. Because I guess the verdict isn't in officially yet. Um, it's more leaning toward, yes, this could be actually an addiction. I'm just going to go ahead and give a quote from Yale Medicine. So, prolonged use of social media can overstimulate the brain reward center, and when the stimulation becomes excessive, can trigger pathways comparable to addiction. Excessive use has been also been linked to sleep problems, attention problems, and feelings of exclusion. And so, what they're saying is the same type of feel good chemicals that are released when someone is using drugs, or someone is addicted to sex, or someone is shopping, is a shopaholic, is the same thing that they're seeing, the same feel good reward system activation that they're seeing with social media. And so, just like with any other addiction, there's going to be downsides and there's going to be negative consequences. So, let's talk about some six social media missteps. That's a mouthful, right? So, six things that people commonly engage in using social media that might further the impacts that it has on their mental health. So one is constantly counting likes, right? So are you a person who keeps checking to see how many people have liked your comment, feel upset when certain people don't like or respond to what you posted, and feel that and connect your value or your worth to how many likes or comments that you get? So one of the ways that you can help in that space, if you find yourself being someone who's constantly worried about how many people saw my post, how many people are responding, comparing how many likes you got with someone else, if that is something that you struggle with, try to fixate on um, what you like about other people's posts. So spend more time commenting or responding to other people, and as far as posts that motivate you, inspire, or amuse you. So kind of like take the spotlight off yourself and shine it on other people. Are you ignoring the impact that social media has on your mood? So, like I spoke about a little earlier, some people are in denial about the fact, that when they get off of social media, they might feel inadequate or anxious, or maybe even depressed, or might not recognize the connection, right? They might not recognize that, hey, every time I'm on here for too long, I feel a certain way, right? So, it's important to be reflective of how you feel when you engage in social media, particularly for long periods of time, or, on a continuous basis. So, a way that can help you to reflect on how it is impacting your mood is to take note of what sites, what particular content, or what particular interactions impact your mood. Do you feel yourself getting riled up when you're looking at political information, for example? Because there's a lot of that going on social media right now. Are there certain people that, you dictate or feel when you're engaging or looking at or viewing their content feels toxic? right? Are you engaging in things that only talk about particular subjects that might make you feel bad, like doom and gloom? Are you only looking at doom and gloom? Or are you only looking at end of the world? Or are you only looking at conflict? Are you only watching fights? Things like that. And, those images and repeated images, definitely can have an impact on your mood. And if you are able to kind of monitor that and see when you feel bad, what was it I was looking at, what was I engaging in, and then once you're able to identify, filter it out, block it, or disengage. The third one is pretty important. It's what we call social comparisons. So are you constantly comparing yourself to other people that you see on social media? Are you looking at their vacations? Are you looking at their night out, the restaurants they're visiting, the cars that they're showing, anything like that? And, as opposed to kind of looking at it like, oh, that's nice, or that looks good, you finding yourself maybe envious or upset or angry or feeling less than as a result of what you're seeing. And the comparing, or the social comparing part comparison part of it is, why don't I have that? Why haven't I achieved that? Why am I not here, or where they are, as in life? Those are the kind of things that cause us to doubt our self-worth and our value. And so what's going to be detrimental about that is, one, everybody's journey is different, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more, but you don't know what you're really seeing, if that person is really experiencing what they're showing, right? Remember that you are viewing a highlight reel of that person's life. So most people are only going to put their best shot, their best moments, all the good things that are going on. They're rarely showing any struggles or problems or issues that they're having, right? So to only see someone's highlights and then take that on as, okay, everybody around me is doing so much better than me, is definitely going to be detrimental to your self-esteem and your confidence. So number 4, are you engaging in conflict? um I get, my first question is like, why, especially as an adult, it's very common, for children and young adults and teens to engage in conflict, because they're kind of still learning, you know conflict resolution and appropriate um, situational conversations. But as an adult, at this point, hopefully, you have developed better skills, better communication skills, better conflict resolution skills, than to, get into arguments with people on Facebook, right? But one of the things that could help you, if that is a struggle that you're having, is not engage in the fantasy that you can change someone's mind. So going back and forth trying to prove your political point, or be right, is never going to turn out productive, and you're never going to be able to do it. They're not going to agree with you no matter what you say. And this is, like I said, another thing that adults kind of learn, that you can't change anyone's mind. You can voice your opinion, but you can't change anyone's mind. And then the old adage of, why would you argue with a fool, because then people can't tell who's who. So the same thing that we've learned as adults that applies in person as far as conflict and conflict resolution is the same thing that we should practice on Facebook. The key being, just walk away. Are you airbrushing your life? Are you only putting up things that highlight the good? Not that that's a bad thing, but are you intentionally doing that in an effort to keep up with other people, or one up other people? It's like, oh, so they got that. Okay, so I got this. So let me show them that they're not better than me. Again, it's this focus or concentration on our physical appearance and our material possessions, which actually tend to point to, low levels of self-esteem and confidence. If you feel that you have to always lead with how you look or what you have, then actually what you're doing is masking feelings of self-esteem and low self-esteem and low confidence, right? So key to this, or working on this, is accept your true journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and resist the need to keep up and one up others. Focus on positive thoughts and feelings within your Facebook post, and that's going to lead to a more rewarding social media experience. And so the last one is, are you neglecting important obligations and activities? So this speaks to the potential for social media to be addictive again. Or is it impacting your relationships? Do you have people around you that are like, hey, I feel like every time we're together, you're not paying attention to me. We don't talk because you're always on social media. Is it an issue where you're at, functions with people, and instead of engaging and interacting, you're on your phone? Um, you know, it's important to reflect on, how do I use my social media when I'm engaging with people in real time? Because what that means is that you're not being present in that moment or that experience, right? So something that can kind of help you evaluate that is to take inventory of what and who is important to you. What do you value? And then prioritize those things in the moment, right? So if this person is important to you, if quality time with this person is important to you, is open and honest and clear communication is important to you within your relationships, then take that time in that moment to engage in those things, and use the social media when those moments aren't happening, right? It may also help for you to limit your time on social media per day. And it's even recommended by a lot of professionals to take a social media fast. If you start feeling overwhelmed and sustained feelings of anxiety and depression related to social media, take a fast. Say, I'm gonna stay off social media for a week. I'm gonna stay off social media for a month. And typically what you find is, once you return, you're not as interested. It's kind of like when they tell you it takes about 2 weeks to break a habit. Then when you try to go back to it, you find, oh, I don't even know why it was so, important to me in the first place. So take a fast if you feel that that would be helpful, and just keep giving you a break and keeping you from getting overwhelmed. Also recommended to turn off your alerts and notification. Again, we're talking about the anxiety. So always hearing ding, 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 or, always having the notifications flash across your phone can be very anxiety inducing for a lot of people, right? So if you find that, when your phone goes off, you kind of feel bad or feel anxious, that's a good indicator. And maybe turn those off so that you don't feel pressure to look right now. You can just kind of look at your leisure. Okay, let me check my phone. I haven't checked it for an hour or so. Let me go take a look at it now. That way you don't feel interrupted and overwhelmed. So that's about all I have. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Anything they want to say about um, these missteps? Do you recognize any of these missteps in yourself or in your social media usage?
I definitely notice it when there's when I'm looking at something like a, a shooting, whether it be
Mm,
a school shooting or, um, police, killing innocent people and things like that. It's like, I don't really want to watch this video, but I gotta know, what are the facts, and so that's
mhm.
tiring, and definitely mood changing, when you see those things. So.
Very good point. And that's kind of when I was speaking to, when I was saying, when you're feeling that anxiousness or depression related, excuse me, to your usage, take a look at what it is that you're watching. So definitely watching, violence, injustice is going to be something that's going to tax us mentally. And because what happens with social media, everyone wants to put the information out, right? That's just part of it, and they want to share, particularly with injustice. Like, we want the world to see what's happening, right? Or, what the injustice is. But at the same time, we're also exposing ourselves to the same, feeling of anxiety and sadness over and over and over again. Anyone else have any comments or any thoughts?
I noticed it kind of like the same thing related to what you're watching, but in an opposite way. So like I don't like watching all of the sad stuff, but my social media is filled with kind of like a whole bunch of pages that of things that I want to do. So like for example, if I want to start a farm, I watch a whole bunch of stuff concerning that and then to
Hmm.
get on all the other ones. But then what I realized that is if I'm currently bogged down with one specific project or something, and I'm still watching a whole bunch of videos or highlight reels and stuff on the things that I want to do, I start to get anxious because I feel like I'm not moving fast enough in getting to that stuff. Not
Hmm.
realizing that everything that I want to do for me are completely new skills because I didn't grow up doing that. And so it's not going to go as fast as like an hour video of them doing that. And so when I watch it back to back to back, then I start to like kind of move back into old habits of starting a whole bunch of projects at one time and then
Hmm.
getting overwhelmed and feeling
Hmm.
like I can't do any of the skills I want to learn because
Hmm.
I started a whole bunch of new projects.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of like make sure that if I'm watching something, it's to answer a question that I have about what I'm currently doing, or I'm about to do some research on the thing that I'm about to go ahead and do, and not like constantly taking in my goals because then I'm going to feel pressured to do the goals that I have right now instead of doing it smart.
Yeah, that definitely can happen. That sounds like some of that social comparison, but not necessarily as far as someone's possessions or someone's looks. But in your case, it sounds more like someone's skill or progress at their skill. And so it's going to have the same, it can have the same feeling of, oh, how are they already there, and I can't even get this done or accomplished. Another thing I was thinking when you was talking about it was you're also, I'm assuming, looking at multiple people. So everyone is going to be at some particular stage that might be advanced because that's why they have that particular content. Does that make sense? And so that doesn't mean everyone that's trying to grow is at that high level of, progress. Just the ones that, again, the highlight reel. We're seeing a lot of the highlight reels. So, they may not have posted a lot of their failures or their struggles in, in gardening or growing, but, of course they're going to show their accomplishments. And so if you're just looking at everyone's accomplishments, it is going to tend to make us feel a little bit less or behind. Anyone else have any comments? Any thoughts? What about the counting likes? Does anyone engage in accounting likes? How many people have responded or how many people have liked my posts? Because that's something I've been guilty of in the past.
I think because I've been posting more, now I'm kind of looking at it, but it's when I look at it, it's just to see which ones got the most so I can try and figure out
Mm-hmm.
why they got the most. But
Mm-hmm.
once I realize that I've like if I've looked at it, it's easy to slip into. If I've looked at it like 5 times in the last 10 minutes, so I'm like, it's not gonna change that fast. So then I'll just be like, okay, let's go put my phone down. And then I'll try and do it like every day or every other day. But once I kind of like it's like when I first posted, I want to keep doing it all day long. But then once I break it, I'm good for a
Mm-hmm.
while, I guess, until I post another one. But it wasn't a real big thing until I started kind of posting my own stuff more. But I can
Mm-hmm.
see how it's easy to get stuck in that loop, especially if you want it to be seen.
Yeah. And and just by nature, we're as humans, we're creatures that seek approval, right? We seek approval, we seek acceptance. But there's a need that we have an innate need to belong, to be liked. So those things aren't necessarily bad things. It's just part of who we are as human. But what we're looking for is a balance. How much priority are you putting on, being liked or being accepted or belonging? And what are you willing to do in order to, feel accepted and belonging. Because once it gets to that point where that's unbalanced, then we're talking about, like I said, deeper things. We need to explore, what is this problem we have with needing to be accepted to this certain level that we're willing to do anything to get that acceptance. What is it about ourselves that we can't just without worrying about whether anyone else likes it or not? Right. So again, not to say that social media or even any of the feelings that might come along with social media, like these missteps, aren't natural. What we're watching for is making sure we're balanced, making sure that we are, engaging in a healthy way, and that we are eliminating anything that's toxic or makes us feel bad, just like we would do in real life, person to person. We never want to be actively engaged in making ourselves feel bad. So if you have control, and you're able to stop yourself from feeling bad, whatever that looks, that's what you should do, because that's what's going to be the best for your mental health. That's all I got, people.
Great session. Great session.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you.
good.
Thank you. Well,
I've
thank you
definitely
guys
been
for
the
coming out
person
as always.
who's
I'm
definitely
sorry,
been the
what you say,
person.
Sean?
No, I said I've definitely been the person who's yelled at the TV, yelled at the social media. I look at everything from business to stuff that makes me laugh to how tos, and then of course there's the interactions of our police and the politics and stuff. But I was taught at an early age, especially see, for us when we were little, the influences were more like video games. So I
Mm-hmm.
was taught from an early age what you're seeing on TV does not necessarily apply to you, and you just gotta think.
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much did that with the internet. It's the same, kind of the same thing. Yeah, the things are interesting. Yeah, some of the stuff is some of the stuff is sad. Some of the stuff is really exciting. Exciting. Some of the stuff is useful. I definitely like the motivational stuff. And as far as like seeing other people on social media when they're having trips and stuff like that, I was never the person to say, "Oh man, why can't I do that?" I was the person saying, I was more like Kanye, like la 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 la, wait till I get my money right, and
Wait
that's
till
always
I
been
get
my
my money
motivation.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, like it's never nothing I know I can't do. It's just I haven't done it yet. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
always look at it. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah,
And I'm
so
glad you
that's all
mentioned
I
that
want to
too, Sean. I'm glad you
say.
mentioned that, because that's also a strategy for people who may struggle with social comparison or envy. Take that
Hmm.
energy that you're feeling, that negative energy
Hmm.
that you're feeling about what that person has and what they've accomplished, and refocus it to your goals. Okay, so you felt a certain way, and I've spoken on this before. People like to think that envy and comparison is, a negative character trait. It can be, depending on it, how balanced it is or unbalanced it may be, and how you respond to those emotions, right? But they have a purpose. The purpose is should be to motivate, right? So if you
Hmm.
find yourself having that little, twinge, like, oh, why not me? Okay, it can be you. What you got to do
Hmm.
next, right? Is the way that you can be most productive with that feeling, is the way you can use that feeling in a way that's going to positively support you, as opposed to take you down a spiral of feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah, I feel like the why not me is the opportunity to stand in front of the mirror and say, yeah, why isn't it you? What what
Yep.
what are you not doing by comparison?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, yeah, are you being honest with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, I could have been a millionaire, but I wasn't working hard to be a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so do you want to be a millionaire, or are you just saying you want to be a millionaire? And if you really want to be a millionaire, let's look into some steps. Let's see what millionaires are doing.
Yep. Exactly. Let's take a look at their stuff, look at their social media to see what they're doing that maybe I could start doing. Exactly.
Hmm.
Use it to motivate.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, guys. Another wonderful session. Thank you guys for showing up. Hope the information for you was helpful.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're very welcome. See you guys next time.
Thanks. Bye.
We don't do the thing.